All right. Hope everyone's doing well. I want to do a video, and I'm going to discuss the water system for what I use for this truck camper, which I think is kind of a little bit of a different approach, and I think it might be helpful to a lot of you, and it's a real easy, and it's turned out to be a pretty effective method. So for a little definitional purposes here, what do I mean by water system? Essentially, how I store water, how I deliver it for use, and how I get rid of the water. All right, so right here is the kitchen area, and for those who followed along in my other videos, you've probably seen this. So what I chose to do is this. I chose to use these water jugs right here. These are 7 gallons, and I actually have 2 of them. So if you look down in there, you can see the second one right there. Okay. Now, I stored them in this cabinet. It took up some space, but it also allowed me to keep them lower. In the previous camper I built, if those of you followed along, what I did is I actually built a cabinet. I used this same kind of water jug, so they've proven to be reliable to me. And I slid the cabinet in there, and the water jug sat high enough to where I could use it essentially like a gravity feed into the container that I was using. And that actually worked very well. No electrical. However, the downside of that was it put the water in a high position, plus it limited me to using only one of these 7-gallon containers. So this solution allowed me to use 2 of them. Now, what you'll see in a lot of truck campers or vans or RVs is you'll see an external water tank. Sometimes in the truck campers, they'll actually sit down in this region here. That's really good for weight distribution. But in my case, it took away from what I wanted to use as far as having this for a bench area. But it also, I really liked having a water container that was removable. So, for example, the way I fill these up is I actually take them to the filtered water dispensaries. Here in the Southwest, we have them at grocery stores. I'm not sure how common they are in other parts of the country. And fill them up. If you had a water filter of your own, you could do the same. Or, of course, you could just put, standard potable water from a faucet in there. But I fill them up, and then that way all the water I have I know is filtered and clean. It also is a benefit that if you were out in a remote area and you wanted to fill up water from a stream, for example, you could. Of course, you would, under the vast majority of circumstances, want to filter it. But that, in short, though, me having a removable water system, that's why I wanted to do it. But I had a problem. How am I going to deliver that water? Well, here's my solution. So this little device here is a pump, a faucet, and the battery to power the faucet all in one unit. They sell these on Amazon. And what they're meant for, if you guys recognize this little plastic thing here, is that they're meant to sit on the standard 5-gallon water jugs. Most probably know them as like a Sparkletts water bottle. And these are really handy. They charge, right here is a USB. They charge via USB. I think this particular one I have here is rated at pumping like 80 gallons or something. I don't remember exactly, but it's a lot. Essentially, I've heard anecdotes of people who've used them for months without charging them. And they're also very inexpensive. This was the most expensive one I could find on Amazon, and it was $25. So what I did is I went down to the local home store and I found some PVC. This is about a 2 1/4 outside diameter. I bought these little plastic things on Amazon, the little blue thing you see here, and then I bought some PVC pipe fittings that actually screwed together. So you could see the top there, and then underneath here, let's see if it'll show up right here, you can see this is a fitting that's screwed together. So when I made the countertop, I simply cut the hole through, screwed the fitting together, slipped on this little plastic piece. It'd be the same kind of thing, which would be the cover that you would see on the 5-gallon water bottles or the 3-gallon ones, what I'll refer to as the Sparkletts water bottles. And then this thing sit on here with a friction fit. And thus far, I've done quite a bit of on-road driving and off-road driving, and it's held up and it hasn't bounced off. So then this is the sink, and this is, we've all seen these. I just simply took a a stainless steel bowl, cut the hole in the bottom, put a drain, and then for my particular purposes, I actually just I kind of shaped a few washers, screwed the washers in to hold the sink down, and then I ran the drain hose for the sink, which you guys can see right here, and I literally just ran it outside of the camper. So if you do run the sink, water just goes outside the camper. For my purposes, I'm mostly going to be using it to wash hands, maybe rinse off a dish or two. I'm not really worried about that, but if having water running outside your vehicle was an issue for you, you can modify it and put your own little gray tank in there. You guys, there's many people who've done that. I've chose not to. My sink setup sits on the passenger side, so if I'm on a street, it'll go right in the gutter. If I'm out in the wilderness, I'm not worried about it, to be honest with you. But anyways, it's a real simple system. And another advantage of this faucet system is that, if you wanted to fill up, a large water bottle or a dog bowl, or, wanted to maneuver it around here, you can. I just went to the home store and bought some tubing. I believe this was a 1/4 inch inside diameter, which just plugs in there. And then connecting this to my water tanks, I just ran that tubing down here. As you guys can see, some of it right here. And I just ran it over the top, and then these containers have a little spigot, and you can install the spigot to where it sticks out or it sits inside. In this case, I installed it where it put to the inside, opened up the spigot and ran the tube through, and then snaked it up to this pump. And I'll run the pump here in a second, and you'll see. One other note is I actually strapped in these. You'll probably see it better from this side. I strapped in these water containers with these black straps. These were something I got on Amazon, and basically they just had a metal loop which screws to the floor, and then you strap them through. Let me see if I can find the buckle on one of these here. And it's just basically got a metal friction fit buckle that you pull them tight. And this far has held up well. So the real nice thing though is if those ever wear out, you want to replace them, they get dirty, you can just remove them and replace them and go from there. So here is how the water, now this one, most of them have a button. This one's actually a fancy, I don't know, some sensor thing. And then you just shut it off, and the water drains out the bottom of the camper. As you saw, it was very, very quiet. So, I don't know, guys. I think I don't know if I've seen a setup exactly like this, but this one worked out really well for me. I just put it together, and your imagination's the limit. These pumps seem to be pretty strong and able to pull the water quite a distance. I can't tell you exactly how far, but as you can see, this faucet's here, and the water container it's pumping from is sitting underneath here. So, you could use your imagination and put these in different places depending on your application. And, this is nothing new. We've all seen the bowl sink here. And then, of course, when I cut the countertop and I cut out the hole for the sink, because the sink is a narrower diameter, I was able just to trim up that piece of wood, and I'll make this into a cutting board. So I actually already put the oil and wax on it for a cutting board. And then that fits and stores pretty well. Not perfect, but good enough inside that bowl like that. So, I can use that for a cutting board or a hot plate, or, just simply to cover it up. So, all right, guys. Hey, I appreciate your time. I hope that idea gives you guys some, this gives you some ideas of something you could apply in your own build. I'll report if there's any problems, but thus far it's worked out really well. It's simple. It's off-the-shelf pieces, stuff you can get on Amazon or at any home store, and it was easy to install. Thanks a bunch.